And the only thing more beautiful than that beat is the warm Florida air, my friend.
Says you.
As you can see here, this is the beautiful thing about doing the gig remotely, right? We used to cook in that Lindenwald attic.
That is true.
It didn't bother me. I loved it. But I did feel a little bit bad for you, especially when you were a few pounds heavier. Now that you're fucking slim trim,
Yeah.
you know.
I'm cold in 100.
Story.
Yeah, I'm cold in the sauna now, so I don't even know what to do anymore.
Cool as they come. Now you get your 44 degrees that you have up in New Jersey.
That's right.
Get 81 down here, sitting in the garage. You can't see it because it's blurred out, but we got dirt bikes and John Deere's behind me, fishing rods on the wall in front of me. I'm going gar fishing. I made fun of Brian the Carpenter for a long time for being a fisherman.
Okay.
But now I think there's something deep in my soul calling me to put a rod in the water.
So,
and I think I'm an OG fisherman.
Okay.
Which means only giant fishes.
Well, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Do me a favor real quick. Touch your left ear. Okay, move the camera a little bit to your left. There we go. Perfect. Stop. Too much.
You happy with that?
Yeah, much happier. Well, so you're in Florida, so automatically whatever you're deciding is your big game hunt is going to be a big game hunt because that's how they grow it down there, because it never gets cold enough to kill anything off. So you should be out there in the salt water trying to catch the swordfish, trying to bring home 80 pounds of dinner a night of fresh fish for everyone. So I get it. And then you're there and you're by yourself. You're with your family, but you're by yourself. So you have to learn a new you. All these new things are being drawn out of you that you weren't aware of before because you were just surrounded with the people you were used to doing the things you were used to doing. So now you're a big game fisherman. You're a dirt bike guy. You're a panther hunter. You got the whole thing going on. You're Eddie.
Did I tell you about hog hunting?
No, I don't think we learned about hog hunting. We were last week you were talking about getting ready to wrestle crocodiles, but I don't think we've talked about hog hunting yet. No.
I'm still working on my reconnaissance for gator hunting.
Okay.
I'm like
gator, sorry.
I want to have an extended gator hunting career.
Yeah.
So my training is starting out very slow. I'm just doing a lot of reconnaissance right now, kind of eyeing up the way they move, maybe where the big gator's at in reference to the little gators. I don't need to be attacked by a mom gator trying to steal her babies out the nest.
No, you got to start with the white belt gators and work your way up. You're not going to just jump in against black belt gators. That's crazy talk.
But as far as fishing is concerned, I'm going solely for Goliath grouper.
Okay.
And river monster gar.
Okay. So
I've seen a gar with my own two eyes. These two.
Did the gar see you though?
No, he was swimming away from me. It's when we were on the swamp buggy the other week.
Oh, okay.
As we're cruising through the swamps, I see him kind of make his way out in front of me, and it was at that moment that I was like, "Oh, okay, I got to get one."
I see. Now I know what I'm. Yeah, this is what you're collecting now. You're just going to collect wildlife as you go. You're gonna wind up with a third career as a taxidermist.
I wouldn't be mad at it. Here's the thing also, though. In case you were wondering, and you've made it 3 minutes into the show without us saying it, that's J. Pay Jones. I'm S. Cove. We are on separate ends of the country as well as separate ends of the political spectrum, but we come together for the Gig Podcast and talk a little filthy, have a good time, and we welcome you to enjoy this. Get live in the chat, call in, whatever.
Whatever
you
works.
Can't call in. We ended the phone number because nobody ever called.
Did we?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it still exists, but if they call right now, it's going to shut down the whole operation.
That's true. That could be exciting, though.
I am reporting live from a tropical TWD outpost in Southwest Florida, which shall go unmentioned.
And
I would love to do a live show from the swamp.
Well, I'm in the swamp, so great news there because it's been raining nonstop for the last 47 days, I think it's been. So I'm actually sitting in the swamp at this moment doing the show live in about 41-degree weather with my feet soaking. It's nice.
Nice. Well, you got to get some swamp boots. I thought maybe
my
you were going
Crocs
to
are
tell
good
me
enough.
your old lady.
Yeah.
Your old lady was mad at you, so it felt like you were banished to the swamp downstairs in your basement.
I mean, I already have that going on. This where I am broadcasting is also where I work and also where I play video games. So more or less, I'm just renting a room in this house that she owns. It's nice.
So pretty much, I'm banished to this room, and they allow me out for dinner.
Yeah,
That's nice, though.
yeah, I'm allowed to come out when I'm cooking. I'm allowed to come out when I have to go pick up the kid or drop him off. And other than that, this is my cage. This is where I stay. They slide food under the door for me and get me chicory coffee in the morning.
Here's the thing. I don't know if they think that that's like a punishment, or like if they think they're doing something by going, no, you have to stay in the garage. I don't want you coming. I'm pissed at you. Don't come in this house because I don't want to talk to you. Little do they know, this is where I'd rather be.
See, this is the opposite for me. For me, like anytime it comes up, it's like, but you have your own room that you can go to whenever you want. Yeah, but sometimes I want to sit with the family. Like I help make the family. I'd like to participate every now and again. No, but we got you your own little room. It's the smallest room in the house. Sure, it doesn't have very good air conditioning, whatever. But you get to just go there whenever you want and be alone. But I didn't.
You have your own man cave.
I didn't ask for that.
Check this one out. My cousin who has the farm, he's 100% Atco TWD. Right?
Gotcha.
Every thorough white dude that you ever met from Atco, Waterford, or Chislehurst, that's my cousin Randy.
He's
right?
that guy. He's the prototype.
He says to me, no, I told him, right? Because he's always out. He's got the farm, so he's always, messing with horses, or he's working on a tractor, or he's cleaning up horse shit, or feeding chickens, or whatever.
Is the farm his primary income source?
Nah.
Okay.
He's a carpenter.
Okay.
Poor guy. He's stuck on the carpentry thing. I understand that, and he hates it just as much as I do, which is a beautiful thing. Just to know other guys are suffering the same way, I appreciate it. So I was down there. It dawns on me, right, when I'm fighting with my wife last week, because Randy's never in the house. He's always got something to. I said, I figured it out, dude. You didn't buy this farm because you wanted animals and you wanted land. You figured if you had a farm, you never had to go in the house and deal with your wife.
I was just having this conversation with my son today. We were talking about like trying to get him focused on his future and how important it is to do well now so that you can get to like the retirement part of it quicker and really enjoy the rest of your life. And I'm like, look at your pop. He lives on a golf course. And I start stacking up things and I'm like, this guy worked like 14, 16 hours a day nonstop climbing telephone poles for like 20 years so that he could ensure that he never had to come home to his wife again, that he could just go out and start golfing on Sunday when tea time comes up and then just go straight through to the next Saturday to the next tea time and never be expected to come home again.
Because you get to a point where you're just sick of her.
You're out of things to talk about. And so then at that point, it's just nitpicking. And mostly nitpicking over things that have already been nitpicked to death anyway.
Yep.
You're gonna
you might as well retire sooner and get her out of your hair.
Get to enjoying yourself. You're just going to sit in the chair like that? This is how I've sat in the chair for 40 years. I don't know what you want from me.
Why don't you go up to your room?
Yeah.
That's what I want from you.
Yeah. Well, you made your own room. Why don't you go to that one with your computer in it?
Yeah. So who would you say is the hottest young rapper in the game right now? Do you have an opinion on that? Because I'll tell you who it actually is, but I'd like to hear who you maybe think it is.
I like when we're saying hottest, like the person that I would like to hear more work from, or like the person who's like just doing
like who's the most? Yeah, who's the most popping right now?
Most
lit.
Maybe Young Boy NBA. There's not too many that I know that like I keep seeing popping up that much. Is he even really young anymore? Okay.
Nah. Mexican OT, when I discovered him about a year ago, he had like 80,000 followers. He's at like 1.1 million right now. Jumping. And he keeps putting out heat. Everything he puts out, almost everything he puts out, is hard, dope music. And he can really rap.
Right.
So I got a high respect for him. Now, I don't know how much you followed him or his interviews or his, what he's about, but this kid's a literal Mexican cowboy.
Okay. I believe they call them caballeros.
Caballero. And the fact that he's a caballero is not like that's his whole. He's running around with a cowboy hat on and boots and a grill, and I love it, dude. I love that he's being himself.
Yeah,
I love it so much, and I've been so inspired by this kid being himself and being a caballero that I have started my new journey into the career of swamp cowboy.
Okay, I can see it. Swamp cowboy. I like it.
I've never ridden a horse in my 38 years of life. I didn't get pulled behind one with a carney walking in the front, holding the reins. None of that, dude. I didn't take any lessons as a kid. I never had interest in riding a horse.
Okay.
It just didn't. Not that it never came to my mind that it was something that I would be into.
In the middle of your state-sponsored vacations, they never brought that up as a topic.
They didn't give us horses. They usually had a couple of guys on horses watching us.
Just kept coaching the perimeter.
Yeah, exactly. I think what happened was way back in '92, when I was just a wee lad of about 6 years old, I saw the commercial for the Vanilla Ice movie.
Cold as Ice?
Where he was riding. He was ripping like a Gixxer down the street.
Uh-huh.
And then the babe was on the horse, and she was riding in the field that was along the street. And that was like one of those things that got ingrained in me that horses are for girls.
That's when he said that beautiful line. He said you got to drop that zero and get with the hero. And then he zipped off in the bike.
Uh-huh. Well,
you didn't actually watch the movie?
No, of course not. I just remember the commercial. The commercial ingrained in me that boys ride motorcycles
and girls ride
horses.
I think there's a book with that title.
Maybe so. So it's just escaped me the idea that maybe I could ride a horse. However, we know that I'm a certified rider.
Oh yeah.
Wherever you put me, I'm riding. You know what I mean?
You've said it so many times in the past. Put something between my legs and I'll ride it.
Exactly,
right.
Dude. Whatever I'm on top of, I know how to really work that thing.
That's what you've said, yeah.
I got strong legs, good calf muscles, so I could work pretty much anything. So I'm at the farm hanging out. How we do on a weekend? The swamp. It's the swamp farm.
Right.
The farm is there, but it's right behind it is acres and acres of swampery.
All right.
So I'm there hanging out. As I get there, certified TWD OG Randy is riding. He's kind of looking like a corrections officer, riding the perimeter on his horse named Red. Right.
Just sitting with proper posture and big silver aviators on.
Uh-huh. And I'm like, all right, do your thing, bro. And I didn't think nothing of it. We're hanging out. Here he comes over to me. He's like, yeah, you want to ride this? I said, well, yeah, I guess.
And what about the horse?
I mean, I'm So I'm like, sure, I'll give it a shot. So I'm climbing up there. And I look at him like, yo, is there anything I need? Like, what do I need to know here?
Right.
He goes, you got it, right?
It's just a horse.
I'm like, yeah, but how do you steer it? Like if you wanted to turn left or right, like what do you just pull it? That's all you got to do?
You lean into
it. Like, yeah, kind of. You kick the side, you pull a rein, you'll figure it out, dude. He's like, and he's telling me, he's like, I don't know much about these things. He's like, I'm figuring it all out myself. I'm like, okay, fair enough. I'm not going to get a lesson. In the midst of this, his wife looks at both of us and she's like, Rand, just grab the reins and walk the horse with him on top of it.
Yeah.
Me and Randy both look at each other like, there's nothing gayer than a man walking another man on a horse. We are not going to do that. I don't care if this horse bucks me off. I'm going to figure it out without another man walking me around.
That's how you celebrate. That's how you celebrated your birthday. Just like you went on pony rides. What's wrong with that?
I was on a pony ride. So he hops on he's like, I'll tell you what, I'll hop on the other horse. We'll ride them together so that Red, the old stubborn horse, will kind of fall in line because he's just following the other horse.
Right.
Spirit and Red. I'd have named them something cooler, but
I mean, very Indian names. Very
It's like horse. It's very
Yeah.
horse names.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have went thoroughbred racehorse type of name, like, like Spanky the Protein Shake or
Right.
something like that.
Just something that you would have bet on if you saw it in the program.
Exactly.
I gotcha.
Like testosterone replacement therapy. Like I'll put a parlay on that horse. Dude.
5-leg Charlie.
Yeah. Yeah. I said that to him too. I was like, yo, what's up with your horses, dog? Horses stereotypically have big old hammers hanging off of them. What's up with yours? He goes, no, my donkey's got the big dick. I said, oh, okay. The jackass got the hammer swinging, the horse not so much.
Sure.
I don't know if they were castrated or what's going on there, but so we're kind of just riding around. And
what happened?
Am I still with you?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh, you went sideways. Nope, now you're back.
There we go. I should be back. So we're just riding around the farm, getting accustomed to what it's about to ride a horse.
Right.
And I'm doing all right, but old Red doesn't really want to do anything that I'm asking him to do.
Okay.
Like he'll turn a little bit, and then he wants to gallop. And I'm like, I'm not ready for a gallop, Red. Let me get used to walking first.
Yeah.
So I kept having to slow him down. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And because I'm like, Rand, how do you slow this thing down? Like, where's the deceleration pedal? He was like, you just kind of got to stop him and then let him restart and hope that he keeps a slow pace for a minute here.
What do you do?
Okay.
You put your Flintstone feet down into the ground and just drag them to a stop? How does that work?
No, you whoa him.
Okay.
Whoa,
whoa,
whoa, whoa. You pull the reins back and you whoa him.
Because he's been listening to everything else so far.
He's into Black Rob. So I wind up doing a lot of whoaing. I'm the guy sounding like Black Rob at this point because whoa.
Everything is whoa.
And yeah, he'll stop and then he'll start slow and then he'll start, after a minute he starts jogging again. So at a point, old Red is tired of riding. He wants to go back to the stable and relax. I don't blame him. It's a hot day. He's been riding for a while now.
Yeah.
Problem is he's trying to do it while I'm trying to walk him in a different direction. So I'm like, he's not listening and he starts running and he's not whoaing. I can't whoa him, right? So he starts trotting. My feet fall out of the stirrups, right? So now I have no real balance. All I can do is squeeze my legs and hope that I stay on the saddle. I'm for sure at this point because he's bouncing too. He doesn't have a smooth gait. He's got a bouncy trot.
Okay.
So I'm thinking to myself, oh, it's game over. I just got to try and hang on, and if I keep whoaing him, maybe he'll stop. But he's not. He's bucking more. So now he kind of bucks me and throws me to the side, which causes me to yank the right rein, which causes him to yank right, which throws me left.
Right.
And then this arm yanks the left one, and I'm like this with no feet in the stirrups, like whoa. I start getting scared because I'm not scared of too much, but I was in peril.
Right.
I was in imminent peril right there, dude.
Just hanging off Red's side, hoping for the best.
I almost thought maybe I should just jump off now before it gets too ugly and just abandon ship before. And then I thought, nah, dude, I'm a rider.
That's right.
I'm going down with the boat if the boat goes down. So after him bucking me around for what seemed to be 35 minutes, but was probably 7 seconds, I kind of gained control back of him and get him just standing still. And we're like, all right, whoa, right? And we get him, and I regained control. I could get my feet back in the stirrups, so now I could get real control and stand properly and sit there. And we walk him back over to the thing, the stable.
The stable.
Yeah. We walk him back to the stable. So the goal here is that at once a week or so, the plan is that I will go ride Red or maybe Spirit and get them trained for certified swamp trail riding.
Then you can get your shotgun for the back.
Exactly. And we could take them out into the swamps and have them walking through the swamp and just be riding on top of them. And that should be pretty sick unless a 13-foot gator happens to see that horses on the menu for lunch that day, which
Right.
could be problematic.
And then Red just throws you into the swamp and takes off.
Yeah, Red probably would. That son of a bitch. He probably
Classic.
would just toss me right to the Gators. Classic Red.
Classic fucking Red.
So then that night, the next morning, I wake up because I'm in the midst of a nightmare where I fell off of a horse and that horse falls on top of me and squishes me. And the only thing poking out is my mouth. And I just keep calling for Randy. Randy! And Randy didn't hear me,
No,
dude.
because you got your
Randy
two collapsed
didn't listen.
lungs. You can't even breathe in to scream. you got
So I'm not-
you got a ton and a half laying on top of you. You're not screaming much.
That's what I'm saying, dude. And I was already in the swamp. I was about to be gator bait, dude.
Yeah, but you
Yeah,
survived.
I did survive. I woke up just fine.
Yeah.
But my thought is maybe that's a premonition and I shouldn't be trying to train swamp horses.
Oh, can I disagree with you? That's a premonition that you need to train harder so that doesn't happen in real life.
Dude, you are 100% right.
Thank you.
You are absolutely right. What's your clock look like? I should be taking I don't know who's in the chat, but whoever's in the chat, what up?
I'm only about 25 minutes in.
Okay. So then we got some other things.
Yeah,
Let's see what's on the list. Oh, you want to hear today? Let's get a little bit serious.
Finally.
I got two kind of more somber topics.
All right.
Maybe not.
Okay.
I don't know. I've been listening to Troy Ave a lot lately.
No, that is going to be somber. Yeah.
Yeah. Troy
No,
Ave
I mean that you would
gave
choose
me-
to listen to him.
Yeah, today's life science comes from a gentleman by the name of Troy Ave, who was in the powdered party industry.
Right.
And he said a little something like this: I pray for health, I don't pray for peace. I take what comes with wealth out the belly of the beast.
It's
Would
deep.
you like to elaborate? Expound upon it.
I mean, what he's saying is more or less nothing's given to him. He earns everything. And if he sees something that he wants, he doesn't wait. He goes and he takes it himself.
Yeah, I think so. I pray for health, right? We used to pray for health and wealth.
Yeah.
And now I pray for health and wealth and pray something for somebody else. That's the new piece that I added. That's my mantra nowadays.
Yeah, you
Health,
got to
wealth,
share it a little bit.
and something for somebody else, right? But the peace, I think that if you're praying for peace, right, then the ability to generate funds to get real paid, you got to get some headaches. Like the whole reason that somebody pays you for a job or your business is making money or whatever it is because you're the guy who's dealing with the headaches at that level. If you're the fry cook, your headache is that, you're getting splashed with hot grease or whatever, and you get paid accordingly. It's not really a major mental headache, more of a physical problem. You're getting splashed with grease every day and not really that bad. You deal with it. A couple of little hot bubbles on your skin and you're good to go. You get your $7.30 an hour or whatever minimum wage is now.
Okay.
All right. When you get up at a higher level, I tell customers that 50% of my job is knowing what I'm doing, and the other 50% is figuring out how to deal with the headaches or the problems that arise when you're doing something, right? So if you're praying for peace or you're hoping for peace, the universe may grant you that, but in order for them to grant you that, they remove your ability to make X amount of dollars or to find your way to wealth. You have to have a headache that comes along with wealth. I think.
I think that's an interesting point. I think part of this now is going to come to perspective, right? So when you talk about 50% of it is the headaches that come with the job, what you're really talking about is problem solving, right? Like the headaches that come with the job in your case is going to be this wall is not as level as it presented itself to be. So now I have to do more than I was going to do in order to complete this job, or something of that nature, which is a headache, yes, but it's a opportunity to solve a problem. I don't think that problem solving and peace are mutually intertwined. I think you can have peace. I think you can get up in the morning and say, my family's taken care of. I don't have to worry about getting shot when I walk out the door. And on Saturday, I'm going to go shoot 18 holes of golf, and still have your headaches at work and that not being an unpeaceful existence. You know what I mean? Like I feel like when Troy Ave is saying I pray for peace, what he's talking about is a lack of violence, specifically a lack an extra layer of safety in his life. I pray that when I wake up in the morning, I don't have to look over my shoulder. I can just go forward and do the job that I want to be doing. And yeah, 100%. Every job comes with headaches, regardless of the tier that you're at. And the higher the tier, the higher the headaches. But those headaches are problems that you have to confront, not necessarily I'm Bill Gates and there's a guy in the lobby who's coming with a knife to try to stab me, so much as there's a guy coming with a better piece of software than me. I got to figure out a better piece of software than him.
Yeah. I agree. Okay, I hear you. But if we're talking the association between peace, wealth, and the belly of the beast, then the belly of the beast is wealthy for peace.
Because it rhymes.
Because I was lost on it. No, I just think that I like it, right? I would rather have my thought is give me the health, whether it's the mental capacity and the health mentally, the physical capacity or whatever, to deal with the issues that arise or the speed bumps that are in front of me so that I can get to the wealth, rather than like, I don't necessarily need the peace. I know how to find the peace solo. I don't have to hope for peace, because I know how to keep myself kind of peaceful, grounded, and squared away in the, where my feet are planted.
Sure. But so in that regard, then you don't need the wealth either, right? Like you can figure out how to hustle up the money when you need the money. These are things, though, if you woke up,
I need the opportunity for the wealth.
Right. So, but if you woke up tomorrow and you had money in the bank and you had peace, everything else would just be easier. Like it would just be easier, because then the more peace and the more money that you have, the more wealth that you have, the more opportunity you have, just by the nature of how opportunity works, because you don't have to get up and worry about, oh, I got to get to the job at 5 a.m. in order to get this dough to feed my kid. Now that that's off the table, because you have the wealth, 5 a.m. can be whatever you want 5 a.m. to be. And that means that's way more opportunity for you.
Fair enough. I need the opportunity right now. We're not doing great down here business wise.
Okay.
I gotta tell you.
Well, you're just starting.
Very early in the game.
Yeah.
So it's fair to not be really killing it. I got a couple of jobs lined up. We're doing so, but okay. I'm trying to be rich, man.
Yeah, but you uprooted yourself and put yourself somewhere where you don't even have like a chain of contact, right? Like if you moved to Delaware, right, you'd have a chain down the East Coast of people that you probably know in the area or whatever that can get you 2 steps up the ladder on your feet. You went just straight fresh. All you have carrying into this with you is the additional knowledge that you've built up over time. You don't even have a second person who says, I'm doing this job, why don't you come do this job with me? And that'll open up the opportunity for you to do your next job. You're starting completely from scratch with a name that nobody knows. So like, that's all the guts and courage in the world to do that. But that's going to be so many stepping stones before you even get to the first rung of the ladder, because you got to prove who you are. But how do you prove who you are if no one knows who you are? You know what I mean? How do you get the experience without having the job? And how do you get the job without having the experience?
I'm literally out here trying to get it out of the mud.
Right.
The swampy mud, dude. Right. I'm out here trying to get it out the swamp. So we'll see how it plays out. I got to come back to New Jersey in April 1st in order to get a job to keep me afloat. Which at least that option is on the table. You know,
You want to
like
you want to punch out and then tell me about the job in Jersey?
I don't want to even talk about the job in Jersey. It's just
All right,
it's just a thing that's happening, and I'll get there. But we could punch out.
let me rephrase. You want to punch
We'll
out
go
and
to
come back in?
commercial break.
All right.
Let's go to commercial break.
We'll be back in a minute.
And we're here.
We're back.
Are we not? Okay.
Oh yeah,
real
we're
quick.
we're
So
back.
as you just heard, we are brought to you by Breakfast Blend Coffee Pods by Wellesley Farms.
Oh, I guess it's different because we're in different geographic locations. Mine was a commercial for Royal Farms. So
yeah, mine was Wellesley Farms. Available only at Publix.
sure, that's a good grocery store. I do like a nice Publix when I'm down there.
Publix is they're a little bit more expensive than I'd like, but they do the trick. I'm trying to get myself centered. There I go. I'm a lot closer to centered now.
You gotta play the game with Publix like you do with any good grocery store. They have their BOGO sales that come through and all that stuff, and you just got to time your shopping correctly so that when you're purchasing the things you need is when they're on sale for them, and then you can do well at Publix.
Yeah. There was a particular world leader who wanted to eradicate an entire race and religion of people.
Sure.
I don't support this guy in any facet at all.
Well, that's an excellent position to take.
However, as far as what would they're not socialists. The Nazi Party would have been considered.
Well, they labeled themselves socialist, but they were wildly fascist. They were.
That's what I'm.
Yeah, they were fascist, even though they were called the Nazi Socialist Party.
Well, I'll let them claim whatever they. If that's what they say they are.
I mean,
this is 2024. You have to let people be who they think they are.
It's no different than North Korea claiming that they're democratic. It's the same game. But no, they're fascist.
North Korea seems pretty democratic to me.
Sure.
But what do I know? I don't follow politics.
One man, one vote.
But as far as a socialist army is concerned, and socialist military fashion,
okay.
I mean, those guys with their Hugo Boss uniforms were. You got to say they're kind of at the top of the chart.
Oh, they were popping because they had Hugo Boss. They had a young Nazi Hugo Boss out there with a sketch pad, drawing up the leather boots up to their knees and all that stuff. There's no doubt that if it was a fashion war, this would have been a whole different world at this point in time.
So maybe what I'm hearing you say here is that basically the Nazi Party had the success that they did solely based on Hugo Boss being their designer. If they were, because they felt good. You like you look good, you feel good, you perform good.
And then also like looking good translates to society. Like there's that aspect for it too. Like when the Russian army comes and they all have the big babushkas on their head and they all have these big tight jackets, you're like, oh, here comes the Russians, get them out of here. But then you come through with a slick, 7 gold button top coat and your nice leather boots and you're doing your smooth duck walk and everybody's in line. You're like, them boys are all right. And then you let them pass the gates before you realize who they are. So yeah,
then you realize that was a problem. Right,
yeah, then you're like, oh, this was a mistake. They're just a bunch of frat boys when it comes down to it. But yeah, the fashion was probably one of the key decisions that was made there to make them so powerful until they got taken down.
Of course. So what I'm thinking is with the upcoming rebellion in America,
sure,
we need to start thinking who is going to design we need a complete overhaul of our military uniform.
Yeah.
Like our military guys, they look tough, And
they got some badass camo. They got that digital camo stuff is pretty hot. But yeah, first of all, we need to be a little more form fitting if we're going to be honest about it. They're out here with these baggy fatigues on, and that's not turning anybody's head. So what's even the point there? And then everybody's wearing Timberlands, which is great if you're from New York, but like outside of that, who are you impressing? Nobody in California is looking for a pair of Timbs.
We need a different kind of footwear. Maybe a muck boot, if you ask me. But that's
a muck boot's not a bad move. Some Crocs.
Also, yeah, I mean,
some nice Bembury Crocs.
If the union wants to go with Crocs, go ahead. Us boys down here in Dixie, I think we're going to go a different lane.
You go right ahead.
We're going to probably go with flip-flops with socks on underneath them.
That's the Jesus look. So, you're carrying some religious weight with you when you do that. So I get that.
We'll take our cue from the Haitian mobsters who wear slides with socks even to war. Even to run drills, they're wearing slides and socks, and I respect
it. The thing about that is it's a statement, and it's two statements. It's one, we don't know fashion really, but also two, we don't care. We don't care about anything. We got our big toe and the next toe over just split in half. We're going to pick up some guns and we're going to kill all of you. And just that level of focus is kind of scary in and of itself.
It's to be respected.
Right?
It's to be respected. Here's what I think is going to be the key to winning the Civil War is going to be obviously who has the better uniforms between the North and the South, or if it splits to be, like the Republic Democrat of Florida and Texas versus the Democratic Republic of New York and California.
Right, like that new movie that's coming out.
Yeah, obviously, I'm probably just going to leave and head for Cuba because I don't really want no parts of it.
Yeah, but hear me out.
I'll set up my tobacco farm.
So I don't blame you for that move, but hear me out. Considering where he lives, you turn on the TV, the Civil War is getting ready to start, and the first guy in the front with the sketch pad right there in the middle of New York, Ralph Lipschitz, is drawing up.
I know.
Drawing up. We're going to give it to all the boys on the front line, and it's exclusive. That's the only way you can get this is to either be at the Supreme store on Thursday at 10 a.m. or enlist. You're not going to be at that line?
No, they're not even going to put it at the Supreme store. You have to enlist to be able to get the Ralphie Lipschitz.
You get like this
fitted camo, BDEs or whatever they're called.
You get like the slightly different one at Supreme, but it's different. But you can get the free one also.
Right, you get the official one if you enlist. Now here's the thing: I hear what you're saying.
Right.
And Ralph, he's a Bronx kid. He's a New York kid.
Yeah.
But nowadays, I don't know. You know where Ralph resides mostly nowadays?
I mean, he's doing well enough for himself that I assume he's in a place like the Hamptons or out in California.
He has a ranch, I believe, in Colorado.
Okay.
Which then I think puts him a little bit closer to the Republic, the Republic Democratic Florida-Texas alliance. So
in the past, I would have thought that you were probably correct on that with a little exception. But I think the prevalence of marijuana in Colorado has changed the face of Colorado and its political leanings a great deal.
But Ralph's not out there for the marijuana.
No, I don't think he is, but I also
He's
don't.
out there
I
for
also,
the Americana.
I also don't think he's going to be out there to be the counterpoint to the people around him either. I think at his age, he's going to kind of be more or less a guy who just kind of puts his neck out the window and says, which way are we headed? Let's go that way.
Well, let me look directly into the camera and say, Ralph, we would love to have you over here down in Southwest Florida. You can stay on my couch if you need to.
It's going to
as
be
long as you need to.
It's going to be weird. Everything is just shorts and t-shirts.
Yeah. Well, not even shirt. Not even t-shirt.
Everybody,
shorts, dude.
Everybody just gets a little polo horse tattoo right over the right breast, a left breast.
That's it, dude. They were breaking my balls yesterday because I was wearing a wife beater to run around.
Right.
Yeah. Classic New Jersey summertime look. I'm bringing it down here.
Absolutely.
They're like, what is this? You're running around in a wife beater? I said, dude, this is phase one. This is for temperatures between 75 and 85. As soon as we hit 86, the shirts no longer exist, guys.
Wife beater goes in the bucket. You don't want tan lines.
No. There's nothing I hate worse than a farmer's tan.
Absolutely.
So I'm trying to work on my tan every chance I get. Now, here's the other thing. The holidays didn't do any justice to me. And I'm getting old, dude. You know what I mean? I'm pushing 40 here. So I'm getting a little – I probably got an extra 7 pounds hanging around my belly that have to go. But it's about to be fasting season, and I always come out of the fast dumb shredded. So I'll be ready for the swampy heats of June, July, and August.
You're gonna be not eating all day, and then your dinner is just gonna be some nice grilled grouper that you caught yourself, and you're just gonna
maybe
go to sleep.
Some gar.
Yeah, gar.
Maybe a gar kebab.
A gar kebab. Are you anywhere near? You're not anywhere near the hogfish or anything, though, right? No, that's more Keys-ish. Because I
don't know what the hogfish
it's
are.
It's an easier fish to catch than what we're talking about, but they make for quite a delicious meal. The hogfish.
From my understanding and what I've seen, dude, there is so many fish that you can pull out and have good eating down here.
Yeah, fish in a lot of ways, with some exception, are like chicken in that the one that you have and how you season it and flavor it, that's what it tastes like. Other than that, as long as the meat is cooked right and not too chewy, you're going to be good no matter what you choose.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, maybe I'll start getting fish for dinner. I don't know. But here's the other thing about Ralph. Since we're doing Ralph talk, let me tell you another thing about Ralph.
You walked me right into this, didn't you?
I have become so in tune. I know what I'm doing, dude. This is my first podcast, cuz. I have become I would say about 23. I was about 10 when I started really fucking with Ralph.
Okay.
I was about 5th grade when I started asking Karen Cove to buy me polo, and then she bought me U.S. Polo Assass, and then I got clowned in school, and I'm like, I didn't know any better. I thought I thought I was doing the thing, you know.
It says polo on it. What do you want from me?
Yeah. I remember wearing a Bugle Boy shirt, right? A Bugle Boy button up that had it had like a knockoff Tommy Hill emblem right here.
Okay.
Like Tommy Hill has the horse, or not the lion in the middle of his little logo. Well, Bugle Boy had the same logo with a B in the middle. And one of the kids I was in school with was like, you know what I hate, dude? I hate when people wear a Bugle Boy shirt acting like it's a Tommy Hill shirt. I was like, damn. Got him.
Wasn't acting like anything. I was just putting on my Bugle Boy shirt. What's the problem?
Goes
nice with my acid wash jeans.
I'm becoming so one with Ralph after 27 years of being a customer that I have beat him to his seasonal predictions.
Oh. You're out in front of the designer class now.
Exact. I'm just as surprised as you.
Okay.
Trust me. So I've been going kind of hard on cut-off khakis lately.
Cut-off khakis. All right.
Like khaki work pants, snipped them, let them fray at the bottom.
Well, you have to, otherwise you don't know they're cut-offs.
Right. It's a blue collar look. It's a blue collar swampsman's look.
Right.
Wear one of these hats.
Yeah.
The khaki cutoffs.
You got a pair of pit vipers?
I do. You thought I was gonna come to Florida and not get a pair of pit vipers, dude? If my garage door was open, I'll go grab them out of the truck and put them on right now. But you're goddamn right. I got a pair of pit vipers, and I wear them with this hat,
Well, yeah,
cut off khakis, and no shirt.
right. That's perfect. That's
jail tats ablazing.
That's its own Florida uniform right there.
Well, me and Smoke Dog were talking about this today. That there's two types of Florida guy that you could be, and it starts at the boots.
Okay.
Right? Because I'm looking for I need some swamp boots. So me and Smoke have been discussing what's a good pair of swamp boots lately. You need something that's waterproof, full-on waterproof boot, basically.
Smoke well versed in the swamp boot?
Smoke's a half a Florida bull.
Okay.
He spent plenty of time out here, plenty of time out in these swamps, riding side-by-sides and whatnot, you know?
All right.
Because, like I've told you before, the TWD transplanted to Florida fits perfectly.
Right.
Smoke is also proof of that, as is Hollywood Roth, as is who else is Scalco. These are guys who are thorough white dudes, but also solid swampsmen.
Okay.
So me and Smoke have been discussing that there's two types of Florida bull that you could be, right? And it starts at your boots. You could be a huck bull, or you could be a muckster type of bull. Now huck makes a boot, they call it a deck boot, right? So it's a low ankle boot. It's pretty much made for like being on the boat. You might be able to splash around in the shallows with one on. Waterproof, ankle high boot, HUK. Are you looking it up?
I am. I just want to take a peek at it.
All right. So the huck boot
Okay.
is one type of guy. Now that guy wearing the huck boot, that also comes with like a light blue long sleeve dry fit t-shirt.
Right.
Maybe with like a stingray on the back, and it probably says like Fort Myers Fishing Club on the front or something.
Yeah, with like a captain's wheel on the front with the logo.
Yeah, something like that. Now, and you can't have that shirt on if you don't have a white visor low to the front with your hair kind of flapping out of the top.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Which then also calls for you to put on a pair of Oakleys or knockoff Oakleys with the lanyard string on the sunglasses.
Yeah, because what if you look over the side of the boat and it falls? It's not going into the water.
And in that, on that same note, if you're a huck bull, you have a buoy on your keys, on your key ring.
You got the little.
You have one of those little mini
foam,
buoys.
You got the foam float, so in case they go over, you can get to them.
Not on anything else, like your cell phone could pop out and drop to the bottom of the ocean.
Cares about that?
But
you just got to get home to get a new cell phone. And more than likely, your little float for your keys is from Nautica. It's got the Nautica logo on it.
The
it's
yellow
orange.
one, or orange.
Yeah.
The orange one, yeah. So you could be that type of Florida bull.
All right.
And I think there's a lot of those. There's a lot of those guys down here. You see a lot of light blue, dry fit, long sleeve T-shirts floating around.
Right.
And they're usually paired with a beautiful pair of huck boots. Or you slide to the other end of the spectrum, and you can be a muck boot company, aka a muckster bull, right? Now the mucksters are pull on. They make a variation of boots, but I lean more towards being a fan of the mid to highs, like the 6 or the 8 inches. Pull-ons, maybe in real tree camo if they're available, because it's a swampy look.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now that guy, what do you think that guy's, the rest of his apparel is if he's wearing a pair of mucksters?
So he's a little more seasonally versed, but his top shirt is ruined or it's flannel. Those are the only two ways it goes. Like it's the shirt that he just got done changing the oil in the truck on, so like it's splattered up, and whatever the logo was is half faded from bleaching the shirt too many times, and almost far enough away almost looks like he's wearing a tie-dye shirt, but really it's just all the different stains and bleach and whatnot from his favorite shirt that he's got to wear when he's out in the wild, because every time he's worn it he gets back home safely, so he keeps wearing that shirt as almost a superstition.
I don't disagree with you, but my original thought was that guy doesn't even have a shirt on.
Well,
You know,
I can see that too.
shirt.
Yeah.
That's a shirt. As I started describing the Muckster boot wearing bull, right?
Right.
He's shirtless, has a pair of maybe camo shorts on, camo cargo shorts probably.
Okay.
With a frayed bottom because it matches the muck boots. He's got a Swampsman's hat, kind of like this, and he's obviously wearing a pair of pit vipers,
right,
and terribly tattooed.
Okay,
and
so
I thought,
yeah,
now my decision is made for me that as I'm looking for a new pair of boots to wear out here, I'm obviously fit into the class of Muckster Bowl.
So hear me out on this.
I will.
Mostly in the Muck versus Huck debate that we're having here, I think you fall more Muck than Huck. But
yeah,
I would say this. You see two guys, and however the positioning is, you can only see them, like, say, from the waist up. And they both don't have shirts on. And we got to guess which one has the Muck and which one has the Huck. I'll tell you this. The guy with the Muck has no shirt on, but has no right to have no shirt on whatsoever. The guy with the Huck is the guy who doesn't have the shirt on, both because it's comfortable and because he's trying to show you something. The guy with the Muck with no shirt, that's a guy who might even have some mustard in his chest hair while he's walking around with his Muck boots and no shirt.
See, I'm going to disagree with you there, right? I like what you're saying, but to me, a Huck Bull is a softer character. You know, a Muckster Bull, most Muckster Bulls have at least done a weekend in the county.
And I'm not disagreeing with that at all, but there's a certain amount of the horseshoe touching back to itself, with the softer one being the one who's also more in shape and takes care of themselves more, because that is in the right demographics, that's viewed as being soft. Oh, you spent all day at the gym instead of being out here killing bears and whatnot. You're weak, son. And so I do hear what you're saying, and you're not off, but the Huck Bull is going to be the one who might look more fit and more agile, because he's the one who spends more time on the softer part of being a man.
He's trying to be a little more handsome.
He's trying to be a little more handsome.
The Muckster Bull doesn't really care about it.
He never thought about it once.
I think that the Mucksters, kind of his general life path has turned him into kind of just a machine. Yeah. So he's not vainly fit, but this dude is shredded from years of setting bear traps,
just the focus,
skinning gators,
yeah,
and lifting up rear differentials for a 2.5-ton swamp buggy.
Right. He's got like the core strength. Like he's more like he's got like the farmer with the overalls kind of strength, where like when you look at him, you're like I don't know how far back your UFC knowledge goes, but he's like Matt Hughes. Like you look at him amongst the other fighters and you're like, he doesn't look like much, but he's got the neck that goes out to his ears, and he can pick up a transmission with one hand, no problem, because he's been moving bales of hay since he was 3. Whereas the Huck guy is the guy who's like, no matter when he takes his shirt off, he's got a 6 to an 8-pack. And the only difference is when was the last time he fasted, because he's been taking care of that the whole time and not worrying about the farm, because Pa's been healthy the whole time and shucking his own corn.
See, and I feel like I fall in the center of that Venn diagram, where like can I do it again? The center of that Venn diagram. What other neat tricks do we know how to do here?
I had no idea we were going to do that.
I don't know. I think the show's over now, dude. After we lit it on fire like that? Shit. After I sent love to the crowd, dude? That's tremendous, dude. I think it's time for the next topic, dude. I don't think I should keep going on that.
All right.
I got it. We've touched plenty on the Muck and Huck thing.
Huck v. Muck, yeah. We'll have to come back to it later.
Only in the Gunshine State. There's a few things I've noticed, and I'm sure I'll continue to notice. We've already talked about some only in the Gunshine State on the previous weeks. I think a lot of our show nowadays may be focusing on only in the gunshine.
That's going to be
It's
big
gonna
for
be
us because that's the new new.
Yeah, exactly. It's the new normal,
Yeah, for you,
if you
yeah.
will.
Yeah.
Yeah. I walk into a gas station to get some chaw. Because now, I mean, obviously now that I'm Florida man, you gotta have a lip pack.
Well, yeah.
Now that I'm a muckster, since I'm a muckster bull, I gotta
Right.
have a lip pack, dude. Huck bulls, they smoke fancy cigars.
Right.
Muckster bulls, we just throw a lip in.
Yeah.
So I walk in to get a tin of dip, and there's a lovely lady standing behind the counter. A woman of about, I don't know, I'd say she was somewhere between 45 and 55.
Okay.
Looked like she was a big fan of Natty Light. She's probably no stranger to a eighth of gram of crystal, you know?
But a big stranger to Colgate and Crest, I would assume.
She was not. She hasn't been to the dentist in quite some time, for sure. And I go, hey, how you doing? You know, friendly guy.
Yeah.
And I'm in the land of the friendly guys, so I'm just trying to fit in.
Right.
I say, hey, how you doing? Throw what you might think a response in the gunshine state would be when you ask this type of lady, Barb, when you ask Barb how she's doing behind the counter of a gas station, her response is,
so she's the employee, like she's captive there.
oh yeah, I don't think she owns the joint.
No. I meant as opposed to being another customer where she could just like walk out and pretend she didn't hear you.
Yeah, that.
Okay.
She's working the counter.
I'm going to say that she's said something back to you to lead you to believe that you shouldn't be talking to her whatsoever.
No.
No.
Well, I mean, yes, but like not in a quite an aggressive way.
Okay.
You know, so I go in, I go, hey, how you doing? Her response was, well, mentally not right, but I'm a woman. I said, what? She said, yeah.
That's quite the
We're
conundrum.
not all there. We're not all there. I said, well, I don't disagree with you.
It takes a certain amount of self-awareness to be able to say that out loud.
They build them different down here. These broads accept that they're crazy, and I like that about the gunshine, dude.
It's the heat.
That's a thing that I like, yeah. They realize, hey, we're batshit crazy, and maybe we'll just keep our mouth shut as much as possible and let the men do what the men have to do.
Right.
Because down here, the men are men, babe.
Sure.
For the most part.
Where else are you taking bath salts on a regular basis?
You're not, dude, if you don't take bath salts once a week at least, you can't claim top tier masculinity.
What are you even doing for testosterone
for sure.
at that point? Yeah.
yeah. It's a test supplement.
Yeah.
They call that pro hormones down here. Bath salts is just a pro hormone.
That's their TRT.
It's what it is, dude. Also, the waste management trucks.
Okay.
They have a sticker on the front of every waste management truck that says God, honor, and country.
So they're all Marines? That's what that is, right?
That's what it sounds like. As far as I know, the waste management in New Jersey, their trucks say Brigitte,
right,
family,
right,
Frank Sinatra.
Correct. Not necessarily in that order.
Right. So I just kind of got a kick out of everybody loves God down here.
Yeah.
And I love them back.
Well, you should. You should love everyone, and you should love God, and you are in the right place for that sort of vibe.
Yeah. It's throwing me off a little bit, though. I'm used to...
The God love?
Yeah, I'm used to heathens. Everybody's a heathen, and they'll pretend that they love God in public.
Right.
But then behind closed doors, everybody's a freaking heathen, and, you know, kind of hit you with like, yeah, I haven't been to church in XYZ.
Yeah,
I was talking to... Go ahead.
I don't think it's any different down there. I just think you haven't gotten through that crack in the armor yet.
Might be true. However, I made friends with a neighborhood tweaker.
Good. You gotta have somebody fix your electronics. Yeah.
I tend to reach out and associate with the dregs of society every so often,
To
keep me grounded.
Can we get them over to the house to see if they can straighten out some of the electronics for you for the show?
I don't know. Straighten it out probably wouldn't be the word.
At least they can break it apart and put it back together.
Pawn it off. They'll show me how to make a buck off of my tablet, but I don't know that they'll straighten it out.
At least we'll have made some money from the show.
So I'm talking to this guy, and he's obviously been geeked out all night long. Like, this was maybe 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. He had obviously not been to sleep the previous evening and maybe the previous few evenings. So I'm talking to him. He's carrying 2 bikes down the street.
Okay.
So I stop, and before I could really think about what I was doing, I go, why don't you throw them bikes in the back? I'll give you a ride where you're going. So he's like, yeah, oh, that's great. Thanks, dude. So as I'm talking to him, he's telling me how he's very religious. And I'm like, cuz, you're on a half ounce of glass. I don't know where that aligns with the Holy Trinity, but it seems like you got a little bit of disconnect between you being very religious and you being a crystal meth addict.
What if that's how he sees God? Like, he gets all hopped up on meth and then all of a sudden God is everywhere.
Then who am I to tell him that he did it?
Right? You can't tell a person how to get and communicate with their Lord and Savior. There's nothing in the Bible about not doing drugs. In fact, from what I can tell, they really encourage you to be drunk a lot. So is there really that much difference here?
They were burning bushes.
Turning
Yep.
water into wine when people don't have enough wine to drink in the first place. Incense everywhere. Incense, quote unquote. I mean,
yeah,
there's a lot of tripping happening there, is what I'm saying.
The Catholic Church loves an incense, dude.
They sure do.
But here's the thing that I've noticed in my days in the Catholic Church. For the first half of my church career, the incense were non-existent. And then all of a sudden, somewhere around like 94, they started bringing the incense that they shake on the string up the aisle. To the thing.
Oh, I don't know where your church collective was, but I was an altar boy since like 7th grade, and we were in charge of lighting the incense pocket for the priest to get down there and start moving with it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, they might have been in your church, they might have been in some churches, but I feel like they had Catholic Church incense had a real resurgence about 94.
You know what had a big comeback too around that time was the bucket and the fake microphone full of holy water that they would just, as they walk down the aisle, just dunk and start hitting everybody with it on the high shots.
Yeah.
Like, that was not a thing for a long time. And then all of a sudden the priest was just wetting everybody up on the way down the aisle before we started praying.
They were looking to increase the populace.
They were refusing to pay for air conditioning is what was happening as far as I'm concerned.
And they were just trying to cool you off.
Just relax a little bit. We'll be through this in 40 minutes. Give us a break.
Fair enough. They were just trying to sell tickets.
Yeah. Put on a show.
And if it takes a little bit of Waterworld to cool you off and get you in the seat to sell you a ticket, then so be it.
So be it. We got the high ceilings, we got the loudspeakers, and now everybody a little splash.
Yep. What do you got on the time?
We got about 8 minutes here. Unless you want to break and come back, it's up to you. We're at a total of about $1.05.
All right, I'll just tell you this real quick.
Okay.
First, let's play this game. This is a little game I like to call Eat a Gummy and see if you can get to bed before it kicks in. So either the next hour or so is going to get real goofy, or there is no more show and I'll be sleeping.
Well, you want to punch out and punch back real quick so we get a full 40 out of you at least before it trips in?
If you want to, let's do it.
That's up to you. That's your call.
We'll punch out.
Okay.
We'll cut. Right now, everything we're doing now, we cut somewhere, right?
We can,
like all this back and forth.
Yeah, I'm recording it. Yeah. It's live, yeah.
Well, but the live's going to come down.
Right away.
Is it?
It doesn't have to. It's been an enjoyable experience for me.
You're the coach, dude. I'm following your lead. I told you this already.
I've been having a blast so far. I don't see why it has to come down unless you really think something needs to be clipped out of there, like, I don't know, drug usage or whatever it might be, or talking bad about Jesus.
No, I don't care. Everybody knows I'm a heathen.
Yeah.
I got a letter from one of our family members who lives 2 blocks away, who sent me a letter giving me a whole spiel and rundown about how God loves me and he's going to really take care of me and my business and this, that, and third. And I went to another family member and I said, I don't think she knows what kind of heathen she's dealing with here. Like if I broke down my religious beliefs, first she's an old white lady, so she'd think I was a terrorist if I told her I lean Islamic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, what are you, part of a terrorist
Airplane
cell?
pilot?
Like, right. So all right, we'll take a quick break.
Quick break.
If you there, we got at least a couple people in the live chat. So hang tough. We're going to be back within 30 seconds.
Yeah,
we've got to restart the clock.
We got good at this. And then we're quick with it.
We'll go from there.
All right, cool. Be right back.
Back like the first day of school.
It's amazing how smooth it's become after just two back and forths. It's like a whole pro show here.
We put a different coach. You know, we made some off-season changes. We got some new management in the front office, and I think that it's going to really do wonders for the organization.
I hope so. Because in the long run, the talent's there. We just need to organize things correctly and get us at our full potential.
We probably need some marketing guys. So if you're a marketing guy and you stumble across this, you know, maybe come talk to us. But marketing is neither of our strong points.
No, certainly
braggadocio. Not. One of us is great at braggadocio. One is great at humility. Neither of us are great. We can't meet at the middle for marketing.
No.
It's just problematic.
It's just not there for us. All the focus is on those things.
So check this out, dude. I have been referred to at times as, even if only by self, I have been referred to as Puerto Rican.
Okay, yes.
You know, like in the jail, I lean Spanish.
See.
I'm highly friendly. I was highly friendly and associated with the Latin gangs of the facility. Whether that be the Nietas, who the Kings call the Fiestas, because the Nietas are okay with the gays, and in prison that's a no-go, or with the King Bulls via a couple of Russian kids who were Latin Kings, and then that kind of hooked. But whatever. This is all irrelevant.
It's irrelevant.
I say all that to say that I'm a man who enjoys the cuisine of Latin America.
Sure.
Love a taco. Love the Brazilian black bean situation, feijoa or feijoa. I don't remember what the hell it's called.
Okay.
Do you?
No.
Okay. Well, the Brazilians make black beans and they call them like feijoa.
Okay.
Something that sounds kind of like Frenchish.
All right. A nice barbacoa.
Well, it sounds Brazilian.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Feijoa. I love a good Colombian breakfast with the chicharrones on the plate all spread out real nicely and heavy eggs and beans, and like a breakfast that'll put you right back to bed. That's always nice.
Sure.
Big fan of the mofongo out of the Dominican and Puerto Rican camps.
The baseball bat bananas.
Exactly. So I am not unfamiliar with the differences, the subtle nuances, or the less than subtle nuances between cuisines in Latin America and or cultures in Latin America.
Okay.
I have found that Cuban food is the soul food of the Latin American populace.
Okay.
Now, not because they're making mac and cheese and black-eyed peas. It's more about it's all very kind of home cooking-ish food, right?
Okay.
You get maybe a stew or a piece of roasted chicken over black beans and rice, or a skirt steak with the onions grilled on top of it with the black beans and rice, or a pork chop grilled nicely with the black beans and rice.
I
The
see a theme here.
platanos, the tostones. I had some goat the other day. It was like a stewed goat. Phenomenal. I didn't know what to expect. But what I do is if I'm out, my neighborhood it has one Cuban restaurant over that way somewhere that I'd never been to. But a majority of my days are spent in Fort Myers and Cape Coral, which are about an hour south of me, and both have heavy Spanish populations, right?
Sure.
So I walk into a Cuban restaurant and go, whatever's the special for lunch today, let me get that.
That's for me.
Yeah, super easy. You know what I mean? And I have not been let down by it yet.
No, I think that's a solid policy regardless, just as a way to live life. You're going to someone else's house and they're offering to feed you and they say, this is what we're making best today. Let me find out what that is.
Also, a lot of these Cuban restaurants are so deeply Cuban that you're not going to get by speaking English.
Right.
So you got to use your words wisely and get the message across.
Or hope for a picture menu.
Yeah, and then hope that you just get something decent and you ain't got to talk too much more, or embarrass yourself with your jailhouse
Spanish.
Yeah, your jailhouse drug purchasing Spanish. I know how to buy drugs in Spanish, and I know how to do mulch in Spanish.
But that's
anything beyond that.
That's going to wind up being like a super regional Spanish too. So even if you think you got a little bit of Spanish, you don't got no Spanish. I remember we used to hang out at a particular corner establishment, and one time my buddy brought his Spanish 2 college textbook to the corner with him, and the boys that were with us, he's like, can you help me out with this? I'm having some trouble. And they're super fluent Dominican kids, and they flip through that book. I don't know one single word in this book. Not a one.
Yeah. Right. Well, and my limited Spanish is a hybrid of Mexican and Puerto Rican.
Right.
Right. Cuban, way different. There's a very distinct, without even knowing what they're saying, I could tell when they saw Cuban because they all sound like Tony Montana. There's a very whoa to how they speak it.
It gets guttural.
Yeah, so I'm I can't do anything besides tell you to put the dirt over here.
Right.
That's about as far as it goes. Or ask you if the weed is out. So you just try and keep it as simple as you can. You tell them, give me the lunch special, whatever. Now, every time that I've walked into a Cuban restaurant for lunch, I walk out with a boost in serotonin, which is why I say it's the soul food, because whatever they're doing with it turns it lights up your brain and just sends you on your way to having just a great rest of the day. And it's not wildly different from Puerto Rican or Dominican food, but it's different enough that something's going on there. So that's all. Cuban food is the soul food of Latin America.
Noted.
Okay. And I don't think in New Jersey or Philadelphia, for that matter, that you're going to really find the kind of Cuban restaurant that you need to be a part of.
I'm going to say highly unlikely in New Jersey and probably unlikely in Philly. There's at least a chance in Philly. I think actually your better bet might be to go further North Jersey, closer to New York.
Union City.
Yeah, and then maybe you got a shot at it.
Yeah, you might catch something in Union City or Eastwick or Bergen or somewhere North Bergen, some
Right.
spots like that. There's some Cubans out that way.
Right.
Let's talk about some rap music, because this wouldn't be the gig if we didn't talk rap music.
I mean, that's our specialty.
You put me onto Heavy D Blue Funk. Now, why don't you tell me why you picked this as the reviewed album for the week?
So I go on some forums every now and again, and a topic that comes up, the forums are always interesting to me because there's a blatant split in age. There's clearly a bunch of young kids and old people, and there's like nothing in between. So like there's young kids who come out and say wild off the cuff things, and then there's old people who come in and say you're out of your mind, this is the way it is. And usually
I love a good rap argument forum.
Yeah, especially when it's completely age biased. Like, you kids don't know what rap music is. Oh, you old people don't know what rap music is. Here we fucking go.
Right.
But a lot of times what comes up is like, I'm new to this. Give me 20 albums that I should listen to really dive in and get into this. And those are interesting, but it's the same albums over and over again. It's Enter the
Illmatic,
36 Chambers,
Reasonable Doubt,
Illmatic, Reasonable Doubt, Mobb Deep's second album, which the name escaped, The Infamous. It's albums like that they always come up. So then every now and then somebody will say, well, here's the 50 that we all know. What's the 51st album? What's the 52nd album? What's the album that you could put me on to that if I told my friends I heard it, they would still be like, I've never heard of that album, but it's so good, I want to listen to it again. So like that second tier is more interesting to me because that's when you really find the gems. Everybody knows Illmatic. It's impossible. I don't care if you like it or don't. I care, but I don't care if you like it or you don't.
You ever met somebody who didn't like Illmatic?
You'd be surprised how much dislike there is for Illmatic anymore. There's a whole other wave with the younger people of really weird, out of pocket things like Illmatic's not a good album. Wilt Chamberlain never scored 100 points. Like, there's this whole wild thing because they grew up. This is more the Wilt thing than the Illmatic thing. They grew up surrounded by information and media. So the idea that something like Wilt Chamberlain scoring 100 points, which is ridiculous, could have happened and there not be film footage of it, like it blows their mind conceptually to the point where the only thing that makes sense is that it never really happened and everybody's just decided to lie about it. Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, so when you get to that second tier, then you get into the more interesting albums because you get into the things that like it shows your taste versus your pre-programming. Everybody knows to say, your favorite 5 albums. Everybody knows what to say. Like, you just say those things. And every now and then someone will try to be controversial about it. But even when they're controversial, they'll still bring up like the 17th album on the list instead of the 10th album on the list. So I think it's good that I get into those conversations and talk about the albums that, like, if you sat and listened to it, you would be super impressed, but nobody remembered to tell you to sit and listen to it. So that Blue Funk was one of the ones for me to tell you about because I had a pretty strong feeling that like that album may have eluded you in general. Heavy D, you probably are familiar with him enough because he had a long enough career and enough big hits that like at least you've crossed paths with him. But to tell you there's this Heavy D album that's like rock solid from front to back and you should check it out and tell me what you think about it with a fresh ear. Because that's another thing. Like, we did a show with Stevie Franks, and there was this comment that he made that was like, you were there when X, Y, and Z actually happened for the first time. And I'll never get to be like experiencing it for the first time ever again. And there's a certain romance to that. And so telling you to listen to this album that I'm pretty sure you've never heard before, you can get that. If you liked it, you can get that sort of, this is incredible and I can't believe I missed out on this sort of vibe. So I figure I could try to give you like an album a week that you would listen to because it's in your pocket, but it's just outside of the spotlight to where you've probably never heard any of those songs that are on that album at all.
The particular event that Payday was at that we are discussing is really the only reason that he gets the respect to be the coach and still be on the Gig podcast, which is the fact that he watched Wu-Tang perform at the Pennsauken Mart back in '93 before they were anybody. And to me, it was what?
It was the convention center across the street from the Mart, but yeah, same basic thing.
He saw them at the corn dog stand at the Pennsauken Mart.
Yep.
There was 3 guys there and 8 rappers rapping in front of them. It was very early on their career.
They paid to be there.
Right. It was quite iconic to hear that Payday saw them that early in the game before Wu-Tang was this household name. So if you ever question if this 63-year-old white dude really knows his shit about hip-hop, just know that he has been listening to hip-hop before your mama had you.
Yeah.
All right?
It's possible I've been listening to hip-hop before your mama was had at this point.
That could be very true. So that's that. The other thing is that I think I saw that Blue Funk, Heavy D Blue Funk, came out in 1994.
That sounds about right, yeah.
So 1994 is maybe 95, right there. That is the line between my generation of hip-hop heads and your generation of hip-hop heads. In 95, we had Biggie. Like 94 had some smash hits. I think Illmatic was 94. I'm sure Ready to Die was probably 94.
Right.
36 Chambers, probably 94.
That might have even been 93, right? But yeah.
So this year of 94 was really very much the beginning of my awareness of things other than what they were playing on the radio.
Okay.
1994, I was 8 years old. I was in the 3rd grade. I hadn't yet started listening to Radioactive and Kobe Cove. Radioactive, remember Radioactive?
Absolutely, absolutely.
It was the precursor to the greatest hip hop radio show of all time, which was the Come Up Show of the late 90s and early 2000s. Is it the greatest show anymore? Probably not so much. But at a time, Cosmic Kev and the Come Up Show was the greatest show. Cosmic Kev was precursored by Quincy. What the hell's his name now that he uses on Fox News?
Oh,
Quincy Daniels or something?
Q Deezy?
Well, he was Q Deezy before. Now he's Quincy Daniels, and he's a Fox News analyst for the morning show, and he goes to bakeries to try the cronuts.
Well, they're pretty good.
But Q Deezy was a certified street hip-hop mainstay in Philadelphia. So anyway, I say that to say that 94 is kind of the beginning of my awareness of hip-hop, and it's also that means that if it's the beginning of my awareness, that means it's kind of where our tastes, not even our tastes, our knowledge and our awarenesses kind of separate a little bit.
Right.
Before 94, anything that I know before 94 is from going back and doing the research.
Digging in, yeah.
I did the research. I listened to all the Rakim. I did the research. I listened to the EPMD, to the K Solo, to the Public Enemy, to the DMC, go all the way back into the Planet Rock and the Boogie Down Bronx. I did all the research.
Right.
Blue Funk Heavy D was something. Heavy D in general had kind of escaped my research because from the start of my career in hip hop, I've always leaned into the street shit and away from the more commercial and pop sounding records. And as far as I was concerned, Now That We Found Love was the epitome of Heavy D.
Right.
And that was fine. It's a fine song. It's a good
little party joint.
Yeah, but it wasn't getting a lot of spins in my Lincoln Continental.
No, I would understand that. Sure.
So I have to say that I was a bit skeptical when it came to going back to listen to Blue Funk, but I did go in with no preconceived notions. I said, let me just listen to it, see what it's about. Because if it's his earlier album, there's a chance that it's going to be way harder than Now That We Found Love and whatever Heavy D did when he was with the Boys.
Right.
Before he was with the Boys, he was a different guy.
Yeah, this. Well, I think he was with the Boys first. Oh no, you might be right. You might be right. But yeah, there's a distinction between with the Boys and without the Boys. I hear you.
And also, I don't think anybody knows who those boys are.
No.
You know, so I don't know. The first thing that the first thought that came to me playing this album was that I should be at Black Bike Week in Virginia Beach, maybe riding behind a pack of Gixxers in a Suzuki Samurai with Chubby Dayton's on it. And maybe a sorority sister from an HBCU who has short hair and kind of looks like Jada Pink. It gave me real, early 90s black college beach vibes.
It sets a vibe quickly.
Yeah. So I liked it. That first track I liked. And then proceeded to let the whole album play out. But I think that the disconnect comes that this is a project for the previous generation.
Okay.
I think this is not particularly because you were there when Heavy D was playing the parking lot of the Core State Spectrum back in 92.
I don't even think that existed in 92. I think it was just the Spectrum.
Spectrum.
Then Core States got built.
You went to the Spectrum with Pelly Lindbergh to watch Heavy D play a parking lot show.
I should have never given him those beers.
And I think because of that, yeah, we all know what happened later that night, you jerk.
Hey, listen, I tried to tell him, don't go through Summerdale. He didn't want to listen.
Nope. Well, you killed Pelly Lindbergh. No. And it's been a long time fact of the Gig Podcast. We've all known it for a long time. Now I'm coming out, and I'm going to just say it.
I said it once, and I said it again. If I don't knock off Pelly Lindbergh, we don't get Ron Hextall, and Hextall was the man.
Hextall was kind of the man. So, I see what you were doing there. Respect. Get him drunk enough to crash so we can get a new goalie.
That's right.
I like your steez.
Take out the Porsche, and then we got the guy who scored a goal. We got the goalie who scored a goal, who won a car. A Buick, but a car.
Right. Well, and I think that because you were there at the time that Blue Funk was released, it sets a certain feel for you.
Okay.
So I don't think it's maybe as timeless as you think it is.
That's
the same way that I'm pretty sure Petey Crack's first mixtape doesn't hold up to anybody else except for me and Eats and Smoke.
I think that's fair. I think though, so, I do think like when you first jumped into it and you started talking about the vibe that it set, I was fully on board with that. So I think all around I wasn't thinking it was timeless so much as it was just really good and you may have missed it. So I do agree with you. Like it is definitely, when you play that album, it's almost impossible not to understand exactly where that album came out of. But I think I'm on board with everything you're saying so far.
And I didn't dislike it, but it wasn't enough to get me to want to spin it any more times.
That's fair.
I don't know. Here's the thing, dude. I don't know if at this point in my life, if we're going to find an album from previous years that I missed, that then I'm going to listen to and go, I can't believe I missed it. Where has this been? How come I didn't get to this? Because I think that a lot of hip hop is based in what you were listening to as your youth. You know, like
Yeah.
I can't. The new stuff that comes out, I listen to, but I don't know that we're going to go back, especially anything before my youth, and go, here's a great one, and it's going to grab me to the point where I'm like, oh, this is a classic. Why is this not considered a classic amongst the mainstream? And I hope that we do. I would prefer that we do find albums like that. But I just think that because of the way that you relate to hip hop, which is kind of via this channel of you being a teenager or a kid in your 20s,
Right.
I think that now I am so far past that like I'm not sure that anything is going to grab me the way that I would hope that it does.
I think that's a completely reasonable perspective. I think that combined with your willingness to listen for give it a shot anyway is only going to expand your interest. But yeah, I think the only way I don't think, like we started with this is the second 100 albums. This isn't the first 100 albums. The first 100 albums, I feel like I should be able to find, a person who grew up in the back bushes of Zimbabwe with no electricity, and I play that for them, and all of a sudden they're a rap fan. Like that second 100, I don't think that has that power. I think that just has the capability of taking a person who's already familiar with the first 100 and going, hey, this was pretty good. As far as finding something that you might find classic that you would almost be upset that you had missed up until this point, I think the only way I think the only way I can make that happen is I'd have to find something from someone that was their one album. Like I know you said you went into it with no expectations, but Heavy D's Heavy D. Heavy D's the big dancing guy. Heavy D's Now We Found Love. Heavy D's Nothing But Love For You. Heavy D's a fun ladies man kind of guy. He's like almost like the mirror to Biggie, where Biggie's just a big fat hoodlum who gets a lot of ladies. Heavy D's a smooth motherfucker who gets a lot of ladies.
Real smooth operator.
Right. So if I was trying to find something for you that I would say, hey, this came out in 95, you missed it, and you're going to be pissed that you missed it, it's almost going to have to be somebody that you just flat out have never heard of before, because that's the only way to possibly go into it with a completely clean slate. And then it would have to be phenomenal after that anyway. Like, it's not just like, oh, because I never heard of this before and it's pretty good, now I'm going to elevate it. It would have to be, this is just front to back amazing, no skips, and I've never heard of this guy before, so I'm irritated that Colby Kolb never spun this guy, that QDZ never put me onto this guy, that this guy never bought a PD Crack feature, and now I need to listen to this album when I'm on the work site every week.
I can tell you that in my illustrious 32-year hip-hop career, right, I've been listening to rap music since kindergarten, when Aunt Trish bought me the Crisscross tape and put me on to the Chronic. And I knew from those first two albums, I was like, oh yeah, I'm a rap guy.
I'm a rap guy. There's no other way to look at it.
From kindergarten on, dude, I was a rap guy.
So,
go ahead. No, hit me.
I was gonna say, in the pocket of this conversation, I got a text from you that the Carnival is an absolute classic. Now,
yeah,
that's an album that evaded a lot of people.
Hold the Carnival, because I have something to say that touches on what you just said, and then we can talk about the Carnival.
All right.
Is that you're going to have to find an album of a guy that I've never heard, that's maybe his only one album, for me to go, where has this guy been? How come I haven't heard it?
Right.
I will tell you that in my 32-year hip-hop career, that has happened twice. The first time, well, it happened right near each other, because it was Screw who put me on both of these guys and pointed me in the direction. One was Copyright, the High Exalted album, which to me, Copyright is as good as Eminem, just didn't get Dre behind him. Like, lyrical, craft-wise, Copyright is as good as Eminem, maybe a notch better. And that depends on what book you're coming from. Eminem has a little more humor. Copyright is a little more kind of hard, like a little bit more street. Not much, not fully into the street. He's still like an MC. and he had a little bit of the funny stuff, but I feel like he's just as good. And should Copy have went to Dre rather than Eminem, then he would probably be the world's best-selling artist at this point.
I think
he has the chops for it.
I think there's a bit of truth to that. I think his decision to be with like more in the Raucous Records pocket versus the mainstream Interscope Records pocket has a lot to do with where he landed, because I think his solo career is great, and his two group careers are both also well worth listening to, with the Megahertz stuff and the Weathermen. Yeah. Yep. He's a tremendous MC, but yeah, so he's a great example of somebody who, like, if you weren't looking for copyright, you would have never come across copyright, unless you were some kind of like big Eastern Conference All-Stars fan or something like that. So that's somebody I could break out for you and say, hey, listen to this album, listen to the Weathermen album, and you're going to be blown away, and you really will be blown away, because
it's tremendous.
Yeah, and you had to be looking for it. You had to know it was coming.
Right. And so when I first heard that Copy, that High Exalted album, I was blown away. Like, how come I didn't know where was this when I was 14 and this came out? How come it didn't make it to my radar?
Right.
And then the other time that it happened was with Jedi Mind Tricks.
Okay.
And I heard the name Jedi Mind Tricks, but I couldn't have pulled out one song from them. I just knew that somewhere they were a group that existed. So when I kind of right back to back, I heard Violence Begets Violence, which is one of their newer albums. I think that came out in 2012 maybe. And actually, I'll tell you where I heard that. I know who put me up on Violence Begets Violence. The track Target Practice, which is retarded hard. So, the whole Violence Begets Violence is a good gym album if you ever need one, because the beats are so heavy, and it's just, there's nothing I like more than Islamic Caucasian terrorist music.
Well, that's all Stoop produced all that, right? I think that's all Stoop, yeah.
Right. And then, so I heard that listening to the Surgeon General, which I'm sure we've discussed the Surgeon General. He came on before Phil Jackson on Side B Radio on the WPBR.
PRB, yeah.
PRB. And we used to listen to it in the joint because it was one of the few things that you could listen to that played you to underground shit.
Right.
And I remember hearing the Surgeon General play that Target Practice and then talk filthy to me afterwards, and it was a whole vibe. And shortly thereafter, I came home and somebody said, well, if you like, why don't you listen to, Eye Against Eye and, all the Johns off of the early Jedi Mind Tricks, which I did. And even to this day, I go, there's a thing about this. This is like, they're not this huge. They do great as an independent. I don't think you get better as an independent hip hop artist than Jedi Mind Tricks.
Yeah.
But when you listen to that first album that was on Baby Grand Records, there's definitely a very grimy, gritty feel that you don't get from a lot of artists. There's not a lot of artists who give you that level of grit and filth, and the production matches the filthiness of the lyrics. And Vinny and, there's not too many white rappers who are as hard as Vinny. And at the time, Just Allah was still had his mind about him, hadn't lost his mind yet.
Right.
And so he was still killing it. And they have features of different underground cats from Philly. And it just was phenomenal. But that was other than Copyright, that was the only other time when I went back in time and found something that I should have already known about.
Right.
And that I was pretty gassed about finding it.
Yeah, so, I think I get that. Like, I get everything you're saying about that. And I'm not, whatever I send you as a suggestion, I'm not going to sit here and stump as if, oh, you're wrong, you need to find this to be better. Go back and listen again until you find it that it's good. I just got to send you the next thing. But like I said, my criteria wasn't to make you think like, oh, this should be in the top 10. My criteria was just like, I'm kind of upset that I missed this. I would have banged this for a little bit back in 95. in between listening to some other stuff that I really enjoyed. And surprisingly, Heavy D is actually a decent MC, and the production's pretty solid. It's definitely of its time, but it's some pretty solid production. There's a couple beats on there that, had you known about them, you might have tried to get an instrumental of and do some work on, things like that.
He is for sure proves himself as an MC on Blue Phone, without a doubt. There's no denying that. So as we were talking about this, I went back to an album that I got this album. I got The Carnival by Wyclef via a Maxwell House 12 CDs for a penny situation.
That's the wrong coffee.
It came. What's the thing
Columbia
called?
House.
Columbia.
We lost your audio. I think you hit your earbud.
It's back.
There you go.
I got it. We got to end soon because these things are killing my ears now. But
all right. Well, we got 5 and a half minutes. Yeah.
All right. We'll talk about the Carnival right quick. So I got this along with this came in the same package as the Quad City DJs. Come on, ride the train. So you could kind of understand where I was at with my hip hop journey at that point. That I only got the Wyclef because they had the "Trying to Stay Alive" single.
Right.
And that was a hit single. Now, and I listened through to it a couple times as a kid, but it never grabbed me all crazy. Now, every time that I've gone back to it as a grown man over the past 10 years, I think to myself, like, this is a masterpiece. It has every piece of everything that you could put into a hip-hop album. Every lane that you could incorporate into a hip-hop album is incorporated on different tracks and all done to near perfection.
So that album came out in 97. In 97, I was working at the record store. It was an independent record store, and the guy who owned it also worked for a pretty major record distributor in Philly. And what would happen is every now and then he would just snatch up the box of promo CDs that would come in for the distributor, punch holes in the barcode so you couldn't legit sound scan them, and then sell them for like $5 a pop. And that Wyclef Jean, he came in with 2 cases of it. So this is right after the score, but the score was pretty much produced by Salam Remy. So like the fact that Wyclef produced this at that moment wasn't like a huge deal. It was just, oh, that's the guy from the Fugees. That's the guy who's not Lauryn Hill. But the score,
that's Lauryn Hill's boy.
Right. But the score was huge. So nobody had any expectation of it. And in fact, we just kind of set it aside. And then one night, me and my buddy, it was like a Thursday night, so it was dead. We just put it on, like, all right, let's find out. Let's not dismiss it outright. And we listened to it straight through. And from that moment forward, anybody who came in the store to buy almost anything else, we're like, no, you need to buy a copy of this. And they were like, no, we don't. Like, yes, you do. And yeah, that album is just a straight masterpiece. It's a full movie from front to back. It's got song after song after song. It knocks. It also is very well produced. The beats are really good. That's like the moment where you realize that actually Wyclef is super duper talented and not just Lauren's boy who was along for the ride while she was singing on the score.
He threw in a track of Haitian folk music.
Yes, he did.
That sounded stupid hard, bro. And that's not, look, now maybe because I'm way more open-minded to music, but there was a time when if you would have said like, hey, here's some Haitian folk music, I think you'd check it out, you might like it.
No.
Nah, dude.
No, I don't think
I'm not going to.
But wait, what if I put some 808s under
it? So, I mean, and then he had the Street Jones, like Street Jeopardy. That verse of Street, I looked at him and smiled with 32 gold teeth and said, what you make in a year, I'm making in a week. That verse is hard, bro. Yeah. Goes in. And then there's melodies and hooks. And like, I think I like the Carnival better than the score. I think the score pales in comparison to the Carnival. That may not be popular opinion, but that's the way it plays out for me.
I got to think about that.
I'd rather listen to the Carnival. If you gave me both of them, I'm picking the Carnival first.
I got to really think about that. I think there's probably a case to be made either way, but right here off the spot, it's still the score, because the score is just banger after banger after, like, there's not a miss on the score. At the very least, the Carnival has the skits in between that you kind of come down off your high for a few minutes and then get back into it.
Yeah.
And the score is just kill, 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 and then it's over, and you're mad that it's over. Like, I wish there was another 10 tracks. And all of that is coming off of the first album, which was not good. The first album was not good, and
I've never even listened to it.
You wouldn't even know who they are until Remy Salam remixed Nappy Heads, and then it became a hit. And once that became a hit, then people paid attention a little bit to them. But without that remix, the rest of it doesn't happen. And the score and the Carnival are like legendary level albums after that.
I agree. And I think that should you look at today's hip hop, which is very singy, melodic rapping, that can be traced directly back to the Fugees and also Bone Thugs and Harmony. But for the case of this argument, they were kind of the lead. You know, they are a very important keystone building block of what hip hop has turned into today.
I don't think you're going to say anything smarter than that, so let's punch out right now.
And what we're also going to tell you is we are at the spot in our career that this might as well be the Carnival. You're going to look back and go, the Geek Podcast is a keystone building block of American culture, and we were there for the beginning. So don't miss next week. Don't be late for work. We'll be here. Keep an eye on us.